If you don't know me, I'm Doug Logan. I'm the past district governor from District 7820. And currently I'm what's called an assistant coordinator for District 7810 and 7820, which means I work with district and club leaders on a number of issues, primarily a focus on membership. One of the things that I enjoy most about Rotary is the opportunity to meet awesome people. And I guarantee you, you are about to meet an awesome person. Before I introduce Tracey, just a few housekeeping things. This session is going to be recorded, so you'll see a bar at the top of your screen about that. And the reason for recording it is to make it available for people who couldn't make it or for you to use for your own purposes afterwards. I also want to particularly thank District 7820 and 10's membership chairs, Gail Goss and Nigel Bayless, for helping conceive the idea of doing this session. And also, especially the collaborative efforts of the leadership of both districts in working together and agreeing to put this on. It's a great thing, a great opportunity. Housekeeping, so as I said, it's going to be recorded. If you haven't noticed already, you will be able to put questions or comments in chat. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a little symbol over to the right with a little, right now it has an orange dot on it, and that indicates that there is a message in chat. So what's happening is Martine Babineau and Louisa Horn are going to monitor the chat. And if there is an insightful comment or question, or even just a plain ordinary one that they think we should talk about, we'll try to answer that. So, Tracey Vavrek is currently District Governor of Rotary District 5370, which I don't think geographically is as large as 7810 and 7820, but that district, for your information, covers northern Alberta, piece of Saskatchewan, of northern Saskatchewan, piece of northern British Columbia, Yukon Territories, and Northwest Territories too, Tracey. So Tracey, like you, is in the middle of having her year totally disrupted and flipped upside down. Fortunately for us, Tracey comes with a significant background in community. She just left the Community Foundation of Northwestern Alberta after being there for 19 years as their CEO, and has moved on to bigger and better things with the Community Foundations of Canada. Importantly for us, she is well grounded in community, understands community, and her talents are recognized in that she has been asked to serve on Rotary International's Innovative Clubs Committee. So, thank you, Tracey. Welcome. You're going to have to unmute yourself. You're not unmuted.
Perfect. There we go.
There you go.
Wonderful. Fabulous. Well, thank you so much. And good morning, everyone. Doug, thank you for the beautiful welcome and the introduction. And it's really an honor to come on this morning and share with each of you. Noel, Louisa, I have to really just say thank you to both of you as well. You've been my colleagues and my partners as we've traveled the district governor journey. And it's a pleasure to be able to join your districts this morning. I am in Northern Alberta. I'll just give you a little bit of what it looks like right now in Northern Alberta. I am in Grande Prairie, which is about 5 hours north of Edmonton. And I say about because it depends how fast you're driving, but traditionally it should be 5 hours. And I am close to the Northwest Territories. For me to travel up to Yellowknife, it's a 12-hour drive from my home. But the Northwest Territories border is about 5 hours from my home. So just to give you a context of where I am blessed to live in a very rural community and have the blessing of amazing Rotarians. In our district, we have about just around 2,000 members, And in my community of Grande Prairie, which is a city of 68,000, we have 300 Rotarians plus about 300 youth. So Rotary is a big part of my world from in my community, but also at the district level.
Awesome. So Tracey, what's different about Rotary now?
Well, we all got hit with a pandemic here just over a month ago, and we've seen a shift. We've seen a shift, but one thing I'll say is what's not different before we get started is that Rotary is trusted and valued. When I think about the pandemic and what's happened, we can reflect on where Rotary, what it's been built on the caring and passionate people, the trust that we have and the value that we have to serve. Well, what is different now is that we're in the change. We're in change right now. Rotary is changing and shifting with this pandemic. But I say the pandemic is kind of a pivot spot. When I look at Rotary and what the values and what we represent, we are here still to do the work we've always done. We're built on the values and the objects of Rotary, and we honor very much on what we're built on. But right now we're seeing where we're all looking at ways to find how Rotary continues to stay relevant. How do we continue to serve each other and support each other? And the one thing that I say when we talk about serving each other and supporting is how do we care for each other? And we're learning new ways to do that. And so Rotary is in this really neat place. And I say this as an opportunity that the pandemic brought us something to help us on our reshaping. And it's providing us an opportunity to leverage from. So I use the word pivot a lot. You'll hear me talk about that, but we're pivoting now. And one of the things that I say to you as we talk about where is Rotary now is there's a couple of things we need to be careful of. One is that not everybody is here with us right now. Some of our Rotarians maybe are missing or gone to the dark. We might have clubs that have gone to the dark. And when we look at that context, how are we connecting with our people? And when I say connecting, I don't refer to a text. I'm going to be honest. Don't send a text or an email. I say, how are we connecting on a visual aspect to create some social cohesion, this manner, or how are we connecting by a phone call? So that's a piece that's different with Rotary right now, is that connections are different. Some people are hiding and missing, and we need to connect with them. But we're also exploring ways that we can reshape and do things differently within our communities. And when I talk about communities, it can be from our local communities, but it could be from our communities abroad. But what has not changed, again, is that we're trusted and we're valued, and that we're built on the caring and the passionate people of all of us who desire to make a difference in the world.
Tracey, sorry, I just wanted to interrupt. Can you talk a little bit about, you used the word leverage. Can you talk a little bit about what you mean by that?
We have opportunities to leverage right now in the aspect of building stronger relationships. Now, I'm going to go into my context of my community foundation work, Doug. At the foundation, we do a lot of work around the sense of belonging. And how do we have a stronger sense of belonging? Well, before we know we need to have a discussion around it, we need to study it and understand it. And what I can tell you that data has told us that generally across Canada, 20% of us live in the community we were born and raised. So if you put that in the context, we're all developing new relationships in communities. We've moved to a new community for work, or we've moved for education, we've moved for retirement, whatever the purpose may be. The 20% of us only still live in the community we were raised in. I know I don't live in the community I was raised in. I was raised on a farm in southern Alberta. So take that context of data, and then also look at another piece of data that I can share with you is that 38% of Canadians don't know their neighbors. There's a bit of disconnect with their neighbors. They may not be able to reach out to their neighbors when they need help or support. So if you take that sense of belonging, we have an amazing opportunity here because we know that people are feeling not necessarily connected, maybe not, and we know that we've created further social isolation by not being able to be face to face. So we can leverage this to connect with others at a level we never have before, or to connect with somebody that's hiding. This is our opportunity to connect with someone to say, I care, you are important to me, and I care. And so that's an area we have for leveraging. We have many opportunities as we look at Rotary that we have for leveraging as well. But one thing I want to go to before I talk about it is that we have systems in place and we need to challenge those systems. We have systems around, we generally in the past have seen Rotary clubs come and meet around lunch, dinner, etc. I challenge that. I challenge because we can't do that today. So that's why I say we can challenge some of our systems. So we can leverage this opportunity to look at different ways to meet. And we may not be meeting through a meal in the future. And I say that boldly. We may decide we're going to meet differently in the future. And I already feel we're going to see a lot of change in what meetings look like. As a governor, when I've been on the road and having conversations with our district, I actually have been bold enough to say, don't call this a meeting. Let's leverage this and call this a gathering, because we're here because we desire to serve. And we know from the Rotary data that people desire to stay in Rotary for two reasons. One is for service and one is for fellowship. I don't see the word meeting there. Not when I see those two words. I see the opportunities of let's gather and do some great things together. Let's look at ways that we can connect and serve our community. So that leveraging, Doug, I see great potential here in many avenues.
Awesome. I totally agree with you on that. So you see that we have an opportunity in spite of the difficult situation that we're in. So where do we go from here? Where do we go now?
So we cannot deny we're in a pandemic, but we can take this pandemic and we can leverage this and pivot. And opportunities ahead of us are, as I've already mentioned, we're facing where we've got social isolation. Let's switch that terminology to social cohesion. Let's shift our mindset to how do we connect stronger, as we've just mentioned in the first one. But this is our opportunity now to reflect on all the changes that have happened over the years. So if we think back, the COL made the changes in 2016 to allow for Rotary clubs not to have 4 gatherings a month, but to do the switch to just have 2 gatherings a month. They use the word meetings in the terminology. One day I'm going to challenge that. I think we need to change that word again, but that's my own little desire to do. But we have opportunities now to leverage what's been done. So let's leverage and take the opportunity of saying, how are we doing things differently? We know people desire to serve. Going back to the sense of belonging, we know that people that serve in volunteerism have a higher sense of belonging, and they are healthier. Their mental health is stronger. Their physical health is stronger. They will give more in back of time. They'll give more back in monies, and they'll also connect at a higher level. So volunteerism is a stem also to create a stronger sense of belonging. We know people desire to serve. So when we start to connect what volunteerism creates in the sense of belonging, then connect that with people desire to serve. We have an opportunity right now to leverage hundreds and thousands of people that are in their homes right now. Hundreds and thousands of people that are watching Rotary. Rotary is trusted and valued. And how many times does an organization reach out to us? They reach out and say, hey, we need some help with something. We need financial support. Who do they come to? They come to Rotarians. This is our opportunity to leverage and to gravitate and move upon that. And look at ways we're serving. We have opportunities to serve differently now. So not only a different structure, maybe through meetings, that meeting word again, but how we gather. We may not gather through a lunch or a dinner. We may gather just around fellowship. We may gather just around looking at opportunities for service. We may gather bringing both of those together. And I challenge with that to say that, depending on what you're looking for. I'm going to refer to this now as more of a cause-based. We may see Rotary, and I forecast we will see Rotary develop more cause-based projects, programs, systems, and also clubs. And what that can be is when we think about innovation, it might be that we have a group of young people that say to us, we're really, really excited to have this Rotary club within our university that's going to support post-secondary students only. That's our focus. That would be a cause related, which would be fellowship, but also service within the university. So we're in this pivot stage of opportunity of where we're going to go next and what this reshaping is going to look like. And I'm really excited because I mentioned youth because I see them as one of the great gifts for us. One of the things I think we need to be careful of, Doug, as we look at these opportunities, where we go with innovation, with creativity, and looking at opportunity, is to stay away from, we've always done it this way. How many times have you heard that?
Never, never.
Never, no. And this is where I said earlier about our system. You know, we're going to be challenging our systems, and we are challenging them just by being online as we are right now. And just knowing also that your districts, both of your districts, have moved to online training. You're challenged the system, but the pandemic has shifted us to there. So those,
Sorry, just the cause-based concept, it really appeals to me. Can you just throw out to help people think about it, just some examples of causes that theoretically Rotary could come together around? Just throw a few out.
Oh, this is a really exciting topic for me. I love the idea of cause-based Rotary or cause-based programs. So I'm going to put it in the context. We all saw the Bucket Challenge that happened many years back, and it started as an online platform. That was a cause-based fundraising program for ALF. Great program, and that was cause-based. Everyone right away jumped on. Well, what I can share with you is that our young people, I'm going to say in context millennials and younger, are very focused on a cause. They're not focused as much on saying, let's get involved with an organization and move in a variety of areas. They want to support a specific area. So a cause-based could be looking at the environment. We want to ensure that the environment's cared for and looked after. Cause-based could be a seniors lodge. Having a group of seniors just at the lodge, wonderfully collecting, gathering together. Cause-based could also be an Indigenous community and looking at how maybe a First Nations community comes together. Cause-based could also be, I mentioned environment, but it could also be around youth and literacy. But their focus is very specific in these one area, recognizing they could still be nimble. They can still be nimble and move about, but they've got a general concept, and I call it a field. It's a field of interest that they desire to focus on. And what it allows for is others that are concerned or care for that area, they rally together, and then they pivot and they maneuver, and they start to build their team, and it spreads. It's amazing. I'm working with a group right now out of Kelowna that this is similar to what they're doing. Is there a wonderful group of individuals that are focused specifically on a cause of getting out and just only doing service, and service in a specific area around environment. And it's really exciting watching them, as they are saying, we are very careful on wanting to protect the environment. We want to share the environment. We want to nurture the environment, and we're going to nurture this and move on. So it's a group of very caring Rotarians that's come together as a result of their passion. So cause is a really neat concept to think about.
That's great. Thank you. I wanted to go back to a point that you made earlier on when you talked about individual Rotarians and clubs going dark. So that's happened in many, many places, but there are also many clubs that haven't gone dark and have been active and innovative in responding to the situation. Can you give us some examples of what you've seen?
Oh, Doug, this is really exciting to share. I have to share a conversation I had with the group yesterday morning. It was one of our Rotary clubs out of the Edmonton area, and they were talking about, we're looking at ways we can be stronger within our community. What do we have for opportunities? Well, we have a superintendent in that group, and we started to talk about how are we caring for our teachers? How are we caring for our principals? So this club right now is exploring ways that they can get into the education system, but they've always been supportive of that area, and looking at projects and programs based on the schools, and saying to the schools, they're asking them for opportunities of ways they can support the teachers and the principals right now. Because as we know, the school system's shifted. It's shifted immensely. So this group of Rotarians is now taking the initiative to say, let's go and talk to the schools and ask them how we can support them. And one of the superintendents in Grande Prairie brought up to me recently is that, we have a concern in our schools, and I'm just going to focus on the schools for a moment, but we have a concern in our schools because we also had a hot meal program in our schools prior when the schools were open. And we have a concern for those students that relied on that hot meal program, that may have been their only meal of the day. So now as Rotarians, how can you as Rotarians help us? So Rotarians now here in Grande Prairie are helping to build food hampers for families that need that support. It's different than the food bank. It's a separate entity than the food bank, but it's a way for those young students to still go into the school or have food delivered to them. And that's a huge gift right now for those young people, but also the Rotarians, but also as well for the school district to say, you know, we're very concerned still to ensure that we get food into the bellies of those young people. And just on the statistics avenue, I'll share with you that food security in Alberta, we know that prior to the pandemic, 1 in 10 people lived without adequate food in their homes. So seeing that the pandemic happened, we know that that's escalated. The one thing I can share with you from my work through the foundation is that food issues, mental health issues, addiction issues, other issues in community are going to escalate over the next while. And this is where Rotarians need to be right now, is we need to be thinking about not only the current situations that we're facing on the urgent aspect, but we also need to respond long term, because we know that within the next 2 to 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, and then follow out 2, 3, 4, 5 years later, that we're going to be dealing with the effects of the pandemic long term. We're not going back to where we were. We are reshaping lives, and Rotary needs to be there. As we reshape and look at what the issues are going to be in our community, Rotary is going to be needed, and we're going to be needed more. And so when I talk about all of these things that are happening in communities right now, I've given you just a couple examples of right now, but I can't lose sight, Doug, we're going to be needed even more in the future. So, you know, as Rotary clubs and all of these wonderful leaders that are with us today start to have those conversations within your clubs and with your members, I say to you, think about what's happening right now, but also start to plan for the future, because that future aspect is going to be really important. I want to just also go back to your question around what I'm seeing, Doug. There's a couple things that I think are really important to talk about. Is we've seen our medical teams, our first responders, our individuals that are in the service industry step to the plate beyond. They are dealing with some really tough challenges, as we all know, and some of them may be on the call today, and some of them are within our Rotary clubs. We need to be extra careful and caring right now. This is where our gratitude and kindness as Rotarians needs to shine. And things that we can do right now is to write thank you cards within our home. As we are in our home right now, do up a couple thank you cards and drop them off when you're at the grocery store, because those wonderful people that are serving you are going through some big changes, and they're going through stress as well. And if we can reach out to them and let them know how important they are to us, and that we as Rotarians are very grateful, we're also helping to show them the importance of them, but showing them that we care. And that's a big piece of Rotaries, is that we care. We're caring and passionate. The other piece as well is we know that many people have lost their jobs. That's huge. That economic impact is going to impact you and I immensely in our communities. It's going to impact our clubs. So looking at ways that we can support each other. If we know someone within our club may be dealing with some challenges, it's time for us to reach out to them. It's time for us to say we care. And maybe you've got some extra gift cards that were given to you as a gift, or you can go out and buy some gift cards for groceries or gas or other things, or maybe a meal. Maybe you can pass those forward now and offer some additional kindness on a pay it forward aspect right now. Something that I want to share with you that I think also when we think about our communities and service, we're focused a lot internally within our own internal communities, but also not to lose sight of our international work as well, because our international communities are facing some big challenges and changes as well. And one of the things that I've seen with one of our clubs is they're doing some sewing online for Days for Girls. So they're sewing menstrual product items online through Zoom and other platforms, and they're doing some sewing classes together, and they're ensuring they're still helping Days for Girls. So, you know, these are a few examples of what we can do internally within our communities, but also we can't lose sight of externally within our international world of the changes that are happening internationally as well.
So those are great examples, but one of the challenges that we're going to have in order to respond in different ways, we're going to have to organize ourselves differently. So one thing that occurs to me is the whole question of geography. So you are in northern Alberta. I'm in Ontario. Everybody else is in somewhere in New Brunswick, possibly Maine, or the rest of Atlantic Canada. So what do you see going forward in the ways we organize ourselves to do all of the things you talked about?
I see us being more nimble and flexible. I see us having innovation and using creative opportunities to respond to what we have right now. So when we look at the opportunities of connecting, I encourage everyone to find ways that they connect with people that are their family, their friends, their community members, to connect at a higher level. Use Zoom, use live FaceTime, use all the tools to connect and share together, and look at causes that are important to you, and start to build a movement and maneuver through these causes in ways that you can support each other. One of the values we have right now is that if this would have happened 20 years ago, we wouldn't have the tools we have today. I think about when I joined the Community Foundation movement 19 plus years ago, I had a dial-up computer. I didn't have the access of what we have today. So let's utilize these online systems like we are right now. Let's utilize ways to connect with each other, but we need to call out to other people. One of the things that I see is up and coming is that we have the potential to lose members. And I want to reverse that. I want to reverse that mindset of losing members, because we have the opportunity here to collect, as I just said, with your friends, your families, your other community members. Let them know you found a cause. Let them know you found a need in the community and you need them, because we're going to be needed at a higher level, as I indicated, when we move through this transition of this pandemic. So using this platform, using the online systems are a huge gift for us. Now, there are some that are questioning the systems, and we can't, we respect that. We cannot say that that question is not viable. Do ask the questions. Find your comfort zone. Build your trust within the system. Build your trust with the people you're working with. So if it's the online system, help those individuals to build that trust so they can say, yeah, I'm ready for this. I'm going to come online. They're desiring to connect. I cannot say to you enough, self-care and care of others is really critical right now. And then as we maneuver through and we talk about these great opportunities that we're working on, let's tell our media. Let's get out and tell our stories. Share with others, because again, people want to serve. This is a great opportunity for a membership drive. But that also brings up another concern, and I've been getting a lot of questions around this. How do we structure our fees? Now we're not meeting for meals, so our fees are, truly our cost to do business has dropped. So we have opportunities now to look at, okay, well, what do we do to be creative to ensure that, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 members have lost their jobs? How do we help them stay in Rotary? We need to be creative and innovative here. We need to find the tools to say, let's talk to you. Let's find out what's happening in your world. How can we retain you as a member? We still need to ensure we cover, our essential costs, but how do we retain you as a member? Now, I know that Noel and Louise are familiar as well. There's questions coming out to RI around what's RI going to be doing around our dues. And what we've all been told is that the directors haven't had this conversation yet. So we know there is a small cost with our dues from RI and our district dues, but we also have opportunities within our clubs to find the best ways also to be innovative to help our members stay. And we need to do that. That's a must, an absolute must. And again, I don't talk numbers. You'll never hear me say we need to. I know you're running around 2,500 members between both districts. That's tremendous. The numbers aren't important to me. What I'm more important about is the people on the ground that are ready to execute and that are here and serving and making a difference for others.
So if I can pick up on that, you talked earlier about not wanting to talk about gathering instead of meeting. And in my experience in the many clubs that I've visited, there are a lot of clubs that meet to meet instead of meet for a purpose. And so what you're talking about is finding purpose. And the purpose is the vehicle to engage and inspire members. Would that be fair to say?
Very much, Doug. Purpose, if you go back to, I'm a huge Simon Sinek fan, and what is our why? And when you start to evaluate your why and to determine what your why is, you determine your purpose. And when we can say this is why we are what we are and what we're doing and our purpose, that gives us a platform to pivot from and to grow from. But you also indicated something here I'm going to go back to is around, some members meet to meet for that lunch. This may be our opportunity now where we have formation of new clubs, and that's okay. We need to be able to give appreciation and to recognize that some will want to still stay in this meeting tradition. So we may see clubs split and form two clubs versus one club. And the one club may be, as I mentioned, on that cause, maybe that cause may be that fellowship. That might be their purpose. But in that purpose of fellowship, I promise you there's service in there. And they will that nucleus of service will continue to grow. It just may be different than the nucleus of service that will grow in the new focus. So I value and credit the immense support and the history of Rotary, the values of Rotary. That is what we're built on. The values, the four-way test. We're at this pivoting stage now on the service aspect and how we can do business differently and the new focus and our new reshaping, that we can still hold true to our history and also move forward with the reshaping.
So one of the other issues that we've historically had, and I've seen, is individual Rotarians and clubs think they own Rotary in a particular area. So competition and conflict between clubs, people getting upset if new clubs are formed because they own it. So we really need to start think about our geography and our psychology and our way of thinking in different ways.
Very much. And I'm going to bring the word trust in here when we talk about that, Doug. So we know trust is what builds all relationships, trust and communication. So as we venture into the new world and the new shaping of the pandemic and reshaping of where we're going in service, because that's the real true of it, is that recognize that we have so many people that desire to serve. And right now they're asking to be part of us, just not in a verbal way, an open way. So we need to be open and we need to trust in them that they also are going to be able to lead with the objects of Rotary and then the values of Rotary and help to support them. And I want to bring in our youth in that context. So we see amazing young people from Rotaract, Interact. As I mentioned, we have over 300 young people in Grande Prairie in our community. So it's one-to-one for a Rotarian. Our young people are saying to us, Doug, I want to do things and I need you right now, help me. So this is an opportunity right now when we talk about, that we've always done it this way, this is my territory. Well, right now we've got energy. We've got people that are saying, these young people are saying, help me find what I can do in the community because my world has been turned upside down. I'm not in school right now. I may not be graduating from high school. I may not be able to complete my degree this year for whatever reason. So there's all these bubbles that are happening. We have the opportunity right now to mentor, support, but also I'm going to use the word is give our young people their wings, mentor, support them, and give them their wings to let them go forth and create what's going to be right for them. Something that's happened in our district that I'm really, really honored and humbled with our Rotaractors is that they have said to us, we're concerned, we need you, we want help, we want to help our interactors. So that our Rotaractors, when we had to cancel all of our Riley and our youth camps, our Rotaractors came and said, how can we still do more? Will you help us? I said, you bet. I spent a Sunday afternoon with them on Zoom and we created Youth Connect. Now, Youth Connect is an online platform based out of Instagram. So again, this is using online tools differently, but it's where our young Rotaractors are facilitating a program twice a week on a Tuesdays and on Saturdays. And it's all about sharing and caring. And they're connecting with the interactors all through the district and all through the different and other community young people to do some really great things of learning and sharing. They did Easter cookie baking last week. So they did, here's the recipe items you need to have. And they went through the whole process of cooking the Easter cookies. But they're also bringing mental health support resources online. They're also talking about food if you're hungry. These are the areas where you can go. So they're providing a platform of sharing and caring just by leveraging all the good resources out there. And we as a district are supporting our Rotaractors to do that. And we at the district have also, our Rotaract umbrella was under our youth council in the past. And through this year, we shifted that. And we moved our Rotaractors from under the youth area to a separate entity. And they are a program of ours. And we are equal opportunity, as we know what the COL has allowed us to do as well, as they're Rotarians. And we support each other as we would any other Rotarian with needs, support, and desires. So, this is an example of the change and the shift and the reshaping that our clubs and our districts have been going through. And I see the tremendous opportunity of what's come out of it. And when I look at Youth Connect right now and what it's created, that's our future. Those young people who desire to do so much, that's our future. When we can show them we care right now and they're important to us, they'll never forget Rotary and they'll be part of us for as they mature and develop and form into their profession. But we need to be nimble for them. When they desire to join a club, we need to show them it's not about a meeting of just come together for a meal. We need to show them that this is theirs. This is their place that they can create what works for them, and we've given them that right now.
I want to remind people, if you have comments or questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll try to respond. Tracey, what I'd like to do now is ask you to give us a sense of how you see other organizations, community foundations, whatever. What are you seeing them do in response? So are there things we can learn from them?
So I would say right now, Doug, we're all watching together, or we're all pivoting together, but we've paused, all of us. Now in the community foundation world, I can say to you, I encourage all of you to work with your community foundations around your communities because they're on the ground right now responding. They're on the ground responding to the needs and working very closely with the organizations and working through the turbulence. So that's one piece that I can share, is that you have a great connect there. And I know, Louisa, you have a strong relationship with your community foundation and your community, but that's one just on a tactical piece. Leverage your community foundation. On a Community Foundations of Canada, we are working very collectively with all of our national partners from Imagine Canada, the federal government, etc., to look at ways that what we can ensure our communities are strong as we pause and pivot and move through this pandemic. That is the value right now of partnerships and collective work. This is huge, absolutely huge in regards to that collective aspect. We are better together. We cannot do this alone, Doug. And that's one of the things that as Rotarians, when groups have come to us, we've always said, yes, we'll give you time, skill, volunteerism, we'll give you financial support. This is where those relationships are so key and important, that we continue to ask questions and support each other. And at the Community Foundations of Canada level, that's one of the things that we're doing, is that we're asking the questions, we're supporting each other, we're having bold conversations too, very bold conversations. And that again is part of that reshaping that we're all going to continue to face, is we're going to evaluate things differently. We're going to find new paths. So one of the things I'm working on a team with next week is a project, and it's looking at where we're going to be in by the end of June and where we're going to be by September. We're all dealing with that through Rotary as well. But I love the terminology that this team has called it, They're calling it our path forward. What a great concept. We're creating our path forward and looking at where we're going in the future and knowing that we are planning short term, as they say, from now till June till September. And then one of the projects that I have on my umbrella in my portfolio is our national conference, which is scheduled for next June. We're looking at what that path is going to look like for even up till next June. So it's the visioning right now, but it's the stopping, it's the pausing, it's the collective work. And as I always talk about, we're so much stronger together, and this is an example of that.
And I think one of the real opportunities that we have is to get out of our silo and look more innovatively and creatively at our own community, at the other organizations that are there. They're all struggling too, so this is an opportunity for us to sit down together, problem solve together, and come up with new ways of doing things and responding to issues in the community.
So Doug, I really think that, you've hit this very well, and I cannot stress enough to have those conversations, come to neutral ground, have the conversations, and so Doug, for example, a club may have 30 members. And so it's like an Indigenous circle coming together at an equal platform and coming together with shared values to talk about, what do you need? We have 30 volunteers. How can we help you? Coming to that level of understanding, an organic level, recognizing there's urgency and there's reactiveness, but to bring it down, bring the energy down, because that will help to build some bridges and some strength. And it'll also build innovation as well. It'll bring innovative opportunities. And I share that with you from my foundational work, is that in the foundational world, we never tell anyone they need to do something. We always let's come to an equal valued platform and share and have conversations together. And that will also, I'm going to bring that context to your past conversation item that we had here was around, geographical, territorial, or ego-based with clubs. And that, we don't really need that other community or that other club to form. Come to this territory as well. Come to the base of relationships and trust as you have that conversation. This is the time where we need the support to charter more clubs and charter more entities and do it at that value. I really encourage that. And I know sometimes it's a tough place to get, and sometimes there might need to be someone to come in to help to bridge that. And you as from the zone could be that support to help to do that, Doug.
So we're just about out of time. And before we wrap up, one of the things that many people are really struggling with, myself included, is, well, what exactly can we do? Mm-hmm. Our fundraiser is gone. The big project that we've been working on, we're unable to do. Do you have examples of things that clubs have begun to do, whether it's fundraisers, new projects, whatever?
So when it comes to fundraisers, my question would be to you, and this was with my fundraising hat on, is why would you be raising money? Find that cause first. So if, for example, food banks or youth at risk right now are a priority for your club, identify the cause first. Then it's easier to rally the support around fundraising. And it could be some online fundraising. You can do some, there's online galas that are happening through some of the community foundation movement, some of the districts, Rotary districts have also entertained this. Find innovative ways you can use, PayPal, I just lost the name. You can use PayPal or Moneris and things to do some fun things that you can engage people to make donations online. You can use that, but have a cause first. Have your purpose first. Because if you desire to raise the monies, be sure you're clear on why you're doing it, and you will have the community and your Rotarians support you. If you don't have that, you're going to bumble. You're going to be, well, why are you raising monies right now? We're in a pandemic. So that's part of the new norm. In the past, we would raise monies and also then look at ways we can disperse for causes. So I ask you to change that mindset, pivot, find the cause, find the purpose, and then explore ways you can pivot and help to engage people to be part of the great success you're working towards. That's one aspect. The other aspect, again, is looking at ways you can get involved with your community groups right now. Get involved with them. They need you more than ever. And as we struggle to find what that looks like, it might be having that knock on the door or through a phone call to say, please share with me where you are and what you need. I can't stress that enough. That comes to a shared value system, as I've mentioned before. It's all new. We're creating this now. You have the opportunity to be innovative. You have the opportunity to be, to find and test the waters. And one thing I'll say to you is nobody's going to fail through this. As you try new things, you're not bad. They're not bad things. You're not going to fail. You're going to learn from it. So we have opportunities to learn from it, and to whatever the decision we make today, we're making the decision based on the knowledge we have today. I'll say I know my colleagues here as governors, when this pandemic hit, our district went through a big shift. We brought in a risk crisis plan. We implemented a risk crisis policy and built a task force. That's a pivoting that we needed to go through at the district. At the time, that was the right decision. It was right for us to do because it was the knowledge we had, and we did it based on what we had at that time. And I say to all the clubs today and all the members that are on with us today, do the same. Share, talk. It's not a bad decision or a bad choice. You're just going to learn from it and go on. So give yourself permission to do that. And I want to say also as well, I am humbled with the amount of care that I'm seeing from Rotarians. I am humbled as I watch across all the networks of the social media and the stories that are coming out. Wow, Rotary is shining beyond. Rotary is showing with the work that we are doing right now as we pivot. They're shining to show we are trusted and we care, and we're doing amazing things. So celebrate those successes. As we continue to venture, celebrate what you see and experience and what you feel. Celebrate them, acknowledge them. And if you are tired or you are grumpy or you're feeling isolated, acknowledge that and reach out to your family, your Rotary family, because that's what we're here for. We're here to help to support during those times.
That's awesome. Thank you. Just a reminder, if anybody has any comments or questions, and you have just a minute or two to do so. I wanted to just also encourage people to think really creatively about their communities and their situations. I mean, I'm constantly, over the last few weeks, been surprised by hearing about someone or some business or some organization that's been affected by this, and it says, "Oh, I never thought of that. Oh, I never thought of that." And the most recent example, I mean, I do most of my banking online, but I had to go to the bank yesterday. I was amazed by how stressed out those bank employees were. So somebody must have been in giving them a hard time before me. I don't know what it was, but everything about their facial expression, body language was they're very uptight. So any comments or questions from anybody?
There is actually a question that wasn't addressed. You've addressed most of the questions that have come up, but there is, Dawn asked Tracey about the Youth Connect, if there was a Rotaract contact that their Rotaractors could reach out to.
Definitely, yes. So Dawn, if you can email me, and I know that your governor can give you my email address, and I'll do a joint introduction email to Yvonne, who is our youth council rep and our Premier Rotaract Council rep, and she's also on our board of directors at the district as well.
Okay, well, that was kind of okay, Tracey.
Oh, this was fun. Thank you, Dawn. I love the chance to chat, Doug. I really enjoyed this. And I
really appreciate you taking the time. I know you have another meeting that you need to go to, so I will just quickly wrap it up. I want to thank everybody for participating. Sorry about the problem we had with the technology. I think we lost some people because of that. We'll make a point of making the recording available to people. Thank you again for what you've done, Tracey. I was pretty confident that you're going to be amazing and dynamic, and you were. Lots of inspiration, and I want to just quickly sign off with a quote. You probably won't remember, in the early 90s there was a movie called Lorenzo's Oil, which was an okay movie. At the beginning of that movie, before the movie started, there was the following saying went across the screen, and it really, because of what was happening in my life at that time, really stuck with me. And it's an old Swahili saying: life has meaning only in the struggle. Triumph or defeat is in the hands of the gods. So enjoy the struggle. So enjoy your struggle, everybody. Thanks again for participating. I'll sign off now. Thanks, Tracey.
Great. Thanks so much, Doug. Take care, everyone, and thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Tracey.
Thank you.